Yay, it's you! Welcome back to The One Behind the Lens. Today, we're diving into the power of your story with Megan Yelaney, who went from theater and network marketing to building a multi-million-dollar business, all by leaning into what makes her different. She's breaking down her 5-part business story blueprint and showing how even everyday moments like toddler tantrums or target runs can turn into content that truly connects and converts. Stick around because the strategies in this episode will totally change how you show up online. And if you loved episode 4, where we dove into social media ads, you'll see how these storytelling tools can make your ads even more powerful. Welcome to The One Behind the Lens, the show for photographers building bold, beautiful businesses behind the lens. I'm Kate Biz Bestie and I got one thing to say before we begin. So Megan, thank you so much for being on The One Behind the Lens.
Thank you. I love the name, by the way. I meant to tell you that. Such a good name. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. This kind of leads into what we are going to talk about. I want to know, can you share your origin story a little bit with us?
Ooh, I love it. Yeah, I definitely can, for sure. So my origin story goes back to, 2011, technically, 2012. I started my first business in network marketing, actually, which I think a lot of people end up having that as an entry point, which is interesting. I think it's a great place to learn about business, but for people who are like, I guess, true entrepreneurs, they usually feel very limited to just staying there. So most branch out. And that was the same with me. Got started in network marketing and had a transformation in my own self. And so naturally started sharing the products, and then found out I could have been making money for about a year. I was literally telling people to go to the site, not knowing I could make money for a whole year. And so, damn it, can I get that
Right?
in reverse?
Can I get that back pay?
I send you all of these clients. And so I was with Beachbody, which is now has dissolved their network marketing platform. And so I really ran into that. I went all in, and I think it was like 2013, 2014 when it really started to become a serious income that I could quit all my side jobs. I was performing in theater, and I was supporting myself fully for a few years doing theater. But even supporting yourself in theater, you're not making much, even as like a professional actor, booking equity gigs, performing across the country. I was still like living paycheck to paycheck and hated it. I just didn't like it. And I quickly realized, like, while I love theater, I don't need to make money doing it to be fulfilled and happy. And it's not like my end all be all. So I said, as long as I'm doing it in some way and I'm still singing and all that, I'm fine doing it as a hobby. And that was like such a, just a relief. I enjoyed it more after, honestly.
Sure.
It felt so pressurized when I had to make money. I had to support myself.
Right. Yes.
It was a job versus like a passion or a hobby. And so I was like, well, I have this other passion and hobby that could really bring in some good money, I saw. And so once that built up, I was all in full time on that, quit all my side jobs, moved back to New York, met my now husband. And I started to see other opportunities. I felt very limited in the company. There's so many things I learned that unless they signed up as a distributor to sell the products or wanting to use the products, that was the only way I could work with them. So I was like, well, there's got to be something else. So I branched out, started my own health coaching company, quickly realized that's not what I was meant to do. I was really meant to do business coaching. That's why my first business really took off, was the relationship building, the marketing, the social media. Like, I really dove into that. I went to school for marketing. So I just was always interested in like why people buy what they buy. What makes them buy? What's their buying behavior? I loved consumer behavior in college. I remember that was my favorite class. It's like kind of psych and marketing together in a way.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I loved that. It was really, really fun. And so that's what I was great at. And I said, why am I just boxing myself into this when health is part of my life, but it's not my favorite thing to teach or talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So quick pivot. And that was in 2017. I've been doing that ever since in one way, shape, or form. It's grown into something bigger than I ever thought. I honestly didn't even know what was possible with it. I felt very limited in the company I was with. And I didn't realize so much more could happen,
Mm.
not just financially, but also just like reach and impact and all of that. So it's been pretty incredible. I've had like three iterations of the business, but we've brought in now over 4 million in sales. We've helped thousands of clients. Like we've just really built, I would like to think, a brand that helps people truly be themselves. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that stems from my theater background of like, I loved theater because you got to like play a character. And so actually when it came time to be myself online, it actually was a little tricky for me because I was so used to being a character that I was like, oh, I don't have to put a mask on. And so I had to kind of unlearn a lot. But I
Oh,
think,
sure.
you know what I mean? But I also think
Yeah.
their part helped me do that. And so it's kind of a blend of being yourself and monetizing essentially what makes you different. So that's
Mm-hmm.
my little spiel.
Well, and I love and I should have mentioned this at the beginning that about your I felt so connected to you with our theater background.
Yeah.
And you said so theater was not your major in college.
No, it actually wasn't. Yeah. I went to school for business and marketing. Yeah.
Wow.
I
Wow. And I
know. It's
love that it's
funny.
like kind of like a full circle too.
It really, and now I'm like truly feel like I'm doing both in a way because content
Yeah.
is so creative, you know. But I had a very like practical but very supportive dad who was like, I want you to go to school for something practical, but go pursue film and TV and theater. Like the second
Mm.
you graduate, go all in on it. Like he was very supportive of that. I come from a theatrical family. He was a musical theater, my mom was, but they also were very like, it's hard. It's hard to make it out there.
Right. Right. Yes.
Have something else, and I'm very grateful for that, honestly. And I think because I did that, I ended up having more opportunities for theater because I actually went to
Mhm.
school in San Diego, and there was a really great equity theater in San Diego that I got to perform at, and I wouldn't have been able to if I was in the theater program. They were really strict about not performing outside
Oh,
of college.
sure.
So I was able to
Okay.
get my equity card. I was able to do all this theater, go on all these auditions that I never would have been able to if I
Mm-hmm.
was like learning it more. And there's so many different paths to take, but I feel like
Yes.
I got the schooling in real life. Like I got to go do the shows and go to lessons and all that outside. And then I think the other part of it was I actually had a real college experience and I wasn't in a theater bubble. So I got to actually see real people. And I think that helped me be a better actor because I actually got real life experiences versus staying in a bubble sometimes that we tend to do as theater folk.
Yes, yes, yes.
You
Well,
know.
and like you said too, your background in theater, I think does help to me, helps when you're talking to people, when you're presenting.
Yeah.
Um, and even though you said that you had to okay, I'm not a character, I'm me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like be
You're
yourself.
yes, yes, you're still using all of those qualities that you had with that. So
For sure.
that's
Yeah,
awesome. That's awesome.
definitely. Yeah.
So kind of going back to that storytelling, why do you believe storytelling is such a powerful tool for marketing and sales?
Yeah. Oh, it's the best. I mean, it's such a old school saying, but like facts tell, stories sell, right? And that is so paramount in 2025. And I think why right now it's so huge. We were just talking about this briefly before we started recording, is that now with especially with AI and just
Mm,
all of this software, it's so easy for someone to start a business and regurgitate content that AI created for them. And it's like what's real, what's someone's actual skill set versus what did they just copy from AI. And so now people are very attuned to that. There's
hmm.
so many people to choose from. So they've got a lot more people competing for their attention. And they've been burned before. Like most of the people who I work with, they've been in other programs before. So they've been disappointed before. They've had things not work out the way they want. So they're going to be cautious with their spending and they want someone that's showing proof that their process works.
Hmm.
And so when I think of story is the best way to show or educate someone because you're not just saying, 3 steps to do this thing. You're saying, here are 3 ways I was able to do this thing or my client was able, and you can share it through a compelling story. Like, my client came to me crying on the floor, like, that's very dramatic, but came to me like
Right.
experiencing this really frustrating thing. And every single day she woke up feeling blah, blah, blah. People are so much more hooked into that than 3
Hmm.
steps two, but you can kind of say the same thing. You're just saying it through a storytelling lens. And if we just think about movies and books and anything, like that's why we exist. Story is like literally what's gotten people through the time. And just nowadays, like people want that proof. And I think it's a great way to share the proof that your process
Hmm.
worked or proof of your skills better than anything now. So that's why I
Hmm.
think it's like so paramount in this market.
Yeah. And I do, we're always watching, Instagram reels, TikToks, things like that, that people are like, you are watching their stories. Like they're telling a story and it might not have anything to do with business, but it's something that happened to them. And we are intrigued. Like I stop and I'm like, oh, okay, I want to hear, you know,
Yeah.
this happened to me today or whatever types. So I get how we just have to, as business people, have to think of that, like how you're
Yeah.
talking, like how you're talking to your friends about, oh, when I was getting this coffee, this
Yes.
this happened.
And you
Well,
can really like weave any story back to your business or have a thread from
mm,
any story back to your business. It's actually a challenge I really encourage anyone listening to take on is what is just something that happened to you yesterday, today. It doesn't have to be mind-blowing. I had an example. I don't know if this is exactly it, but I have them all the time with I have 1.5-year-old twin boys. Constantly things are happening with them. And there was one where, one of my sons, he's our sensitive one. He's very emotional. He's very passionate, we like to say. And I'm like, you're being very passionate. You have a lot of emotions. That's great. Let's talk about it, And so
right, right.
he was just so upset 1 second and 30 seconds later, hysterically laughing, running around. That's just babies and toddlers. It's so
Sure.
amazing. I'm like, wow, you bounced back really quick. And so I shared that, which is a very common thing that happens, but it's a very relatable moment for so many parents. I shared that and related it back to like a business, a fail of a launch, or
Mm,
a post you posted that flopped that you're really disappointed in, and how like we could stay in that, or we could be like the toddler and go, all right, like what can we learn from this? How can we move past and get to that next thing?
mm.
There's always a thread. And I find the content that really hooks people in with just general story that they can relate to does so much better and gets so much more attention and engagement and DMs and just inquiries than 5 steps to 3 steps to those kind of things.
How would you tell someone to do that on, say, like Reels or
Hmm.
anything like that? Like, I'm guessing, is that kind of how you're telling, like when you're coaching, like to get it out there on social media, or how are you having people or their blog?
What I usually recommend people do is start with what I call you asked me this at the beginning, your origin story. So
Okay.
what's like, basically, what is the reason you started your business? The reason I
Mm,
recommend people start with that and then create from there, because you're going to find out a lot of nuggets, like what are parts of your story people are resonating with that you can share more of, or you can get those daily examples, like I just said with my son. And so that's what I recommend starting with. The reason is your origin story really shows people not only that you're an expert and it positions you as an authority because you're showing that you know what you're talking about, but it also does position you as that relatable person. So you kind of are able to do both at once, which is tricky. It's tricky to be like, I'm relatable, but hire me. Like I've been where you are, but also trust me and pay me.
right.
Sometimes people go far too in the relatability and they get friend zoned, or you're so
Mm,
inspirational kind of
mhm,
comments,
mm,
but that's it. There's no can I hire you kind of comments versus the when you're in putting in the process I break down is the expert part. And when you have that, when you're showing, but this is what I do for clients and this is why I do it, this is how I've learned this, they also see you as an expert that they can hire. And that combo I've noticed is like really crushing it right now.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you kind of talked about a little bit like you're seeing someone go, like, say, super far into one. area. Are
Yeah.
there any like common mistakes that people make when they're trying to tell their story?
Yeah, definitely. I can kind of walk you through the process that
Oh,
I teach
perfect.
my business story blueprint, which I'll give you the link for your listeners. It's free. It walks you through exactly how to map out your origin story, essentially. And I think in the series that follows, we have an example of a storytelling reel. So
Mm,
actually, it's like a tutorial on how to take your pictures and videos and put it into a reel with your story, and then also how to put it into an email. So like two really tangible ways to do that,
hmm
but one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they only share the before, the transformation, the after. So they'll go, here's what I was
mm,
experiencing before. Here's the transformation I had. Here's my after, right? But they're leaving out like the process that they went through, which is the process that ideally they now teach or take. Or if it's even like a photographer, I was just thinking about that with your people. It could be like a specific way that you do photography, why you got into it, what is different about your approach to photography than someone else. How do you make people feel while they're in the session? Like those are, I mean, as someone who's hired many photographers, like that is a huge for me. I have to feel
mm,
comfortable. I have to have someone who's very directive because I don't know how to pose. Like, tell me what to do because that's
hmm
not my thing. So if you
hmm
can share that in your story and like walk someone through that process, oh my gosh, like I'm going to hire someone more that way. So when we're leaving out these little markers, like your process, what makes you different, your story sounds like everyone else's. And that's a huge like objection I hear too is I don't have a really big transformation or my story's not that exciting. It doesn't need to be. And actually the less big stories are the ones that are so much more relatable because a lot of
mm,
people will share that experience if that makes sense.
hmm
Do you want me to dive into like the main pieces that I have people like the framework that I have them break it down with?
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great.
Cool, cool, cool. So again, like I said, most people just do the before, the transformation, the after. But how I really like to have people do it is first you start with your catalyst moment. And that's going to be your hook. That's going to be what gets people to go, wow, I need to read this, your cliffhanger. So you
Mm,
don't want to give them all the everything in the first line or the first carousel or the first line of the reel, whatever, or the subject line, whatever it is that you're putting out there, right? Because this could be dispersed on in so many ways, a blog, a podcast, whatever it is. But what was that moment that like really changed everything for you? That aha moment that made you go, I need to get help or I need to help others with this. It could kind of be kind of twofold. So this you could honestly use it for your own transformation and then you could also redo this story framework and do it for the moment you realized you needed to help other people with this, right?
hmm
Or you wanted to become what you are. So what's your catalyst moment that kind of stopped you in your tracks? If you feel like you had a multitude of moments and not one, because I hear that's like a an objection sometimes I hear is like, oh, but I don't have one light bulb moment. It was like I just eventually got to the point where I had to make a change. Great. What were those moments that led up to it though? Like start to write that down and you can pick one of those. So you have your catalyst moment to really draw them in. Then what was your transformation? So the problem that got solved, right? What were you thinking? What were you feeling, experiencing at the time? How did you move through it? Right. So describe your transformation in a way, ideally, that really mirrors what your ideal client's going through, right? So you can really describe how they're currently thinking, how they're currently feeling. That's how they can see themselves in your story.
mm, hmm
And then the third part is what was the impact of that transformation? So how did solving that problem from the transformation like change your life for the better afterwards? So describe like kind of a domino effect that it sparked, right? Maybe you started a business. A great example I use a lot is I work with a lot of health coaches and they'll help people get healthier, lose weight, heal hormonal imbalances, whatever is that result. And from that, so many people will end up starting a business, getting out of a toxic relationship, asking for a raise at work. These things that actually have nothing to do necessarily with the thing they got hired for, but it was such a domino effect in their life, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because of that confidence, or they got rid of all these symptoms that they were experiencing because they worked with this hormone health coach, and now they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like a new person. I'm going to go do that thing that I'm wanting to
Yeah.
write
Right.
that book, start that podcast, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So how did that transformation like shape your mission to help others, right? You saw all these things happen to your clients, you went, or yourself, and you went, I feel so incredible, or now I've seen other people do this, I need to go help other people. And
Mm.
then step 4 is your mission. So the why behind your work. So why are you so passionate about helping your clients solve this problem? And something to note that I do put in the blueprint as well is if you're a coach specifically listening, and you have anything with money or like saving money, becoming wealthier, I really encourage you to talk about your desire for financial freedom as part of your mission. Because the reason I mentioned that, or if you're in any business of helping people make any kind of money
Mm.
or improving their business at all, sometimes people feel selfish to say that, and they're like, don't want to admit that they wanted more money for some
Mm-hmm.
reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not selfish to want to say that, right? Most entrepreneurs start their business because they want more autonomy, they want to make more money, they don't want to feel limited by having a boss. And we need to talk about those things. And yes, of course, you want to impact people and you want to change lives, but it's also okay to want to make money too.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yes.
just
Yes.
mentioned that because I see people leave that out. I'm like, but that's such a huge thing your people want. Talk about it,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
which I know you probably understand,
Oh,
who
totally.
you
And
work with.
yes. And it is just so funny how we don't want to talk about that. Like when you saying that, because yeah, I feel like, but everybody, I mean, most people want to know can I make more? How can I make more money? But again, I know I'm glad that you mentioned it because
Yeah.
it is something that we don't like to do,
Yeah.
like to just say.
So interesting. And we want to like leave that out. So it's like a big part I want to just, weave in there. And then
Yeah.
the last part, which I think is the most important one, is what's your unique edge, right? So what makes your approach different than all the other people who are going to be marketing to them? So it could be a belief, a value, a method, your framework, the process that you take people through that sets you apart. So just like kind of think like, what do I do even slightly differently than someone else I know, that a competitor, right? It's the
Mhm.
reason that your audience is going to want to work with you because maybe they haven't tried that before. And that's why they haven't had success. You have that process or you have that thing or that approach that they've been missing, right? So that's
Mhm.
a really big part that people leave out. Again, they just go before or after or before transformation after, and they don't put in their mission, the impact, and the edge. And that's what makes people go, wow, this person is an expert. And they've been through what I've been through. Okay, I'm gonna go reach out. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Those 5 pieces I see being a really, really good flow for people to start getting actual inquiries from their story posts.
Well, and I love too that you're talking about the mission and things like that. I think we all have a hard time, like when you start a business, whatever, or even when I was just starting this podcast, of like actually writing it down and
Yeah.
saying, like, what is the mission? Who
Yeah.
is my audience? Like, yeah. And so,
Totally.
even, and I love that there's a blueprint for this so people can
Yes.
have a starting point and
Yes.
where,
And we give you examples too, which I know is
oh,
helpful.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
That's,
very big example person. I need examples. So
yes, me too.
I'm like, okay, but what's an example of a mission? What's an example of an edge? So we give you all the examples too.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Because
Yeah.
I bet someone listening would be like, what would my edge be?
Yeah.
Time out, friends. Let's talk about what's in my cup every single morning. Coffee Roaster of Lincoln, Nebraska. Freshly roasted, full of flavor, and honestly, it's the real MVP of my morning routine. They ship anywhere in the US, no matter where you live. Nebraska's best can be in your mug too. Use code TOBTL for 5% off your online order. That's TOBTL. Or just hit that link in the show notes and thank me later. Support small, sip strong, stay caffeinated. I had a question about, like, how do you feel when you are posting any of these stories on social media or your blog or your website? Are you a fan or of um, showing your face, doing a no face, a mix of things? Like, how do you kind of, I feel like we don't know, especially photographers, we like to show our work
Yeah.
and maybe behind the scenes a little bit, but
Yeah.
What do you feel on that?
For sure. And I've worked with photographers, website designers, copywriters, people who were like, I don't want to, my face is not important. Why do I need that there? I totally get that. So do you have to? No. And I do believe now in this day and age, you're going to convert better if you do. And the reason, again, it's simply because there's so many people out there
Hmm.
that and there's all these faceless accounts that are like fake accounts, kind of, like,
Oh, yeah.
so it's just with AI and all that, again, it's like when you show your face, people just immediately trust you more. There's just something about it. So I really am encouraging any service providers I work with. I'm like, you don't need to live on Instagram stories. You don't need to go live all the time. I'm not telling you that, but I want you to start getting more comfortable. And I actually had a web designer in my last round of my program who I promised her I'm not going to make you put your face out constantly, but I do want you to start sharing it a little bit more. And she got her first actual increase from strangers on Instagram. And
Oh,
it's not simply because of that. There's obviously other things she did, but I know that had a big impact because it's like, oh, okay, that's the person I'll be working with.
hmm.
It's when we have an online service, when it's not a product that they're getting like shipped to them, like a sneakers or a book or something, it's hard to hold on to it. And so just even seeing the creator, it feels like more tangible, if that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
do, I do recommend sharing your face from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned live. Do you recommend going on doing lives?
I started back doing lives just this year. I don't think I did one last year. I had my boys January of 2024 and kind of took off the year, honestly, in many
Sure.
ways. I almost like took off the whole year. And so I didn't do any, and I started doing them again this year. And I definitely do recommend going live. Now, the reach I've noticed isn't as much as it used to be, but I mean, that's kind of with everything right now. So it's across the board, really.
Sure.
But the people who are going to watch the lives are the warm people. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to go live almost once a week, maybe every other week. It's been kind of with like collaborators. So that's a great way to go live.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dual lives with other people because then it reaches both of your audiences. So I really like doing that. But I definitely do recommend it. I think it adds this component of like, you can't fake it. You're live.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's
They're seeing you and yeah.
Yeah, in your truest form, like you cannot put on an act. I mean, I guess you can, but you can't edit anything out. You're live. So it's just,
Right.
I think it's a really good way, especially if you're, which I really am trying to encourage some clients to do. If you're doing like an audit or a live coaching, if you're coaching, or like if you had a photographer who's like, here's like a behind the scenes that I'm going to just shoot live and show you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're literally showing them the behind the scenes and you can't make it look different. It's just, let's go. Let's just do it. So
Yeah.
it really helps with your credibility, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I've done lives before, but that's something that I'm like, okay. Like when you said it, I was like, do I need to be doing lives? Like,
It's definitely like scary for sure. And I think people put so much weight on who's watching and no
mm-hmm.
one's watching. They're like, oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. No one's there, but people will watch after. They'll watch it as a recording.
Right.
Just remember
It,
that too.
right. And I feel like, because you never know, people might be at work, they might be out, they're
Yeah,
driving or whatever. They might just not see that you're live. And like you said,
exactly.
if they can
Yeah.
rewatch it. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna put that down. I'm gonna write that down to be
I
like,
love it.
I need to do some lives. And I'm like thinking about what my lives should
Should
what I
be.
should be doing.
I
Yeah.
do notice, I mean, I haven't done too many of these. I should start doing this, but I notice when people are doing something else while they're live, it's helpful
Mm,
for keeping people engaged. So, like getting ready with me is a really big one. If you're getting ready for the day or cooking or even driving, which be careful, obviously, don't like, make sure you're looking at the road and,
right, right.
and you have your phone propped up, but you're like actively doing something and it kind of, usually more so with your hands, it helps people just stay engaged too. So,
Mm,
and it's honestly double dipping with time. I did that on
right.
another account for sharing my twin mom journey. And I did that. I was just putting my makeup on while I was live, just answering questions. And I was like,
Oh,
okay, I'm getting
okay.
this done. I had to do this anyway. So this is great.
Yeah.
Oh, and so you can kind of think of it as that way, that too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And I love that you can like, if you want, you can you can talk about something, you can show it behind the scenes, or
Yeah.
you could have a Q&A.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. Just the biggest thing I'd say with a live with anything is have the title be some kind of hook to get people in, so not like my favorite things or, it's like for
Mm,
photographers. Now, I'm not a photographer, so I don't know if this is the right lingo in this at all, but something about like the lens that makes my clients' photos look better than
mm-hmm.
like something like that,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the secret or this tool, this whatever it is, right? Like leading with like kind of the result that they want in the title, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Like I had I'll bring up actually an example. I did a live with someone last week that I was affiliating for, and it was titled let's see, how to add 1,200 plus subscribers in 90 days without paid ads or posting daily. And we talked about her process and the program and all of that, but it led in with the result the clients want. They want that. So,
Oh, sure,
yeah.
sure. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, I know that we kind of covered this a little bit when you were talking about the framework, but if you have somebody that's really like, I don't have an interesting story. I don't know I just don't know how to start. And I know we have they're going to get the blueprint,
Yeah. That'll help a lot.
but I just know there's going to be someone listening that's going to be like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And what would you tell them?
Definitely go through the blueprint, number one.
Yes,
But number
yes.
two is I love looking for proof that things are false, like those beliefs are false. So I want you to think about like 5 to 10 people you like following.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, some of them might have wild stories or crazy lives, but some of them probably don't. And I want you to ask yourself, like, why do I like following them? Why am I so interested in what they're posting? Especially if they're literally posting almost the same things every time. There is this comfort in knowing what's going to happen. Like,
Mm,
I know every single day this person I follow is going to share their morning coffee and in an ASMR way, and it's so soothing and I love watching it, and every time it makes me feel good, right? Whatever it is. So
mm-hmm.
it's almost like you can you know what to expect, but you look forward to it. They're not doing anything wild. They have a pretty routine schedule that they share over and over. Why do you like that, right? It's that comfort. There's something you connect with them about, right? So it could be something silly. It could, like I talk about my love for theater or Harry Potter or reality TV, and
Mm,
that'll connect people. It's nothing mind blowing, nothing crazy. But for some reason, people like to know they have something in common with you. They'll
mm,
immediately, like theater with us,
right. Yes.
I've connected with people over Harry Potter. I've had literally clients sign on because of that. It's been wild because they could choose from all these other people, but that they know are great at what they do. But we just had that commonality. So we started a conversation about it. And then they ended up being like, okay, and I want to talk about business because I need this help. Right. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's an entry point, if you will. And the other thing too, like I mentioned before, is most of your clients, your potential clients, don't have those big stories. So while those big stories are so inspirational, they're not always the ones that actually get the most clients because they're not as relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas someone who has maybe not a huge transformation story, but it's very relatable, they're going to have their audience be more connected to it because they're like, ooh, that's me, right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes
Yes.
sense. So I
Yeah.
hope that helps, but like look for the proof that's not true with who you follow. And then remember that the smaller, quote unquote, smaller transformation stories are actually the more relatable ones. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love like using just like your Harry Potter, your theater,
Mhm.
like your reality TV, because I mean, I feel like you probably just with those three things, there's going to be somebody that's going to relate to at least one of
Yes,
those
yes.
things. And I do think, I love like true crime. And, people might think that, I'm listening to like some nice, jazz music while I'm editing. No, I'm probably listening to a crime podcast.
I
And I
love
kind of
it.
put that out there too. And I know there's so many people that are like, oh yeah, which one are you listening to? Or have you heard
Yeah,
about this? So
I love
yeah.
it.
And it just kind of,
That's great.
and I just love that like it's simple. Like we don't have to
Yeah.
think about this big
Yeah.
story, this big,
A
something
100%.
dramatic.
Even today, I posted, I have a lot of moms who follow me, and I shared, my sons are just obsessed with anything that's not a toy lately, like water bottles, laundry baskets, boxes.
Oh, yep,
They
yep.
don't want to play with their toys. They just want to play with this. I'm like, why are we buying toys? This is a waste of money. And it's so funny and it's so cute. And so I'll share that occasionally, and I'll always get replies. And remember, like, replies is an entryway. It's how you can start a conversation that could then lead to something else. And you're not
Mm-hmm.
clickbaiting. You're not like baiting and switching. You're just continuing a genuine conversation. And if you're putting out your
Mm-hmm.
content, you're sharing your expertise, you're showing your client results and all that jazz. Like, if you're doing that, and they need that help, it's naturally going to go there.
Mm-hmm. Well, this kind of leads, kind of what you were just talking about, leads to like a question I was thinking of earlier is how do you do that without sounding, salesy or forced?
Yeah. When you say how to do that, like how to go from that
Yeah, it could be even
conversation.
that conversation or even like start doing your blueprint and
Gotcha.
getting into your origin story of like, yeah, how to
Yes.
just not look
So
kind of we were talking about earlier, like going either or getting too on one sided or.
yeah. So in the template, we walk you through a CTA as well at the end. So
Mm,
you're led to like, okay, and here's the call to action. And the reason it doesn't feel I guess salesy, which is a word that a lot of people use, which think it's just a big like asterisk or I guess perspective shift for people, is I challenge everyone to try not to use that word, even though everyone uses it. I should probably use
yes.
post next week, actually. So thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah,
reminding me. I'm
yeah.
like, yep, people use that. Is like when we think that way, we are really limiting our sales because sales, and I had to go through a lot of money blocks to realize this. Oh, it took like years to get through this, honestly, for me, I feel like in my business is it's truly transformation. If you're not selling and you're not asking for the sale, you're limiting someone from being able to work with you because we
Mm,
just assume, oh, we're putting out good content. They should know what I do.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm,
they
mm,
have a million other people putting out good content. Unless you're saying, here are my clients. This is how you can work with me. This is the results I get. They're not going to know. And I think that's the hardest part for people is literally asking for the sale. And they almost feel bad. And
yes.
I want to remind everyone listening, you are giving so much free value if you're posting content or you have an email list or you have a blog. Oh my gosh, the amount of information that we give for free is wild when we think about
Mm,
it
mm-hmm,
compared to like a regular company that you just go to a store and buy something. They're not giving me
mm-hmm,
any free value. I have to purchase something to get the value. You know what I mean? So I just want everyone to remember that like you've earned your right to sell because of how
mm-hmm,
much you're giving. If you are giving email,
mm,
blogs, podcasts, etc. So that's just like
mm-hmm,
one little aside. But in the story is the best way because you're saying, hey, guess what? I've been where you've been. I've figured out the process. I'm shortcutting this whole thing for you. I don't want you to have to go through all of the bells and whistles and leaps and bounds that I had to go through because it took way too much time and heartache and money, etc. I figured out the process. Here it is. Like, you
mm,
think about it like you would do them a disservice, not offering them that process. Like, if this is where you're at, if you're feeling this way, I figured it out. DM me this word and let's talk about how to get you out of that situation because I don't want you in it anymore. You're coming from a really place of service versus like a used car salesman. Like it's on sale for 5 more days, like that's not the vibe. Does that make sense?
right,
So
right.
yeah,
Yes,
that's why
yes.
the story feels so good to sell from because it's like,
Mm,
I know where you're at. I see you. I've been you. Let's get you out of there. Does that make
mm,
sense?
yes,
Cool.
yes.
One of the things I'm going through this with my clients right now who are going through the
Mm,
story part. I think I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs are perfectionists and it holds a lot of them back because they
mm,
want it to be perfect before they put it out. And
mm-hmm,
trust me, like no one gets to the level of success they get to because it's perfect. And so I just challenged a client with this who was still hadn't put her story out, and we edited it a few weeks ago. And I was like, "Where is it? I haven't seen it. Like, what's
mm,
going on?" And it's not like quite right yet for her. And I said, post it. You're going to post it again and again and again and again and again. Like this is not the first time you're going to post it. So just go rip the Band-Aid. We'll see what happens from it, what kind of comments, if any, you get, and then we'll tweak it for next time. So I just think we put so much weight into every single post, every single email, every single podcast. Like this better work. let's try. I saw a post the other day that really resonated with me. And it was like, if you're investing, it's not the exact quote that she said, but it was something along the lines of, if you're investing from this place of this better fix my business, it's probably, that's not the energy you want to invest in. You want to invest in from this is going to help me make my business vision happen or bring it to life. It's such a different energy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so excited about this because it's going to help me really see this vision come to life. And that's such an empowering way to, invest versus this better fix this problem I have,
Right. Right.
So
Yes.
I just encourage you to think of your story that way too, is like, this post better get me clients. This better get, it's like, try to be a detective and go, let's put it out there, see what happens, and use that feedback or lack thereof to make edits to it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I would say. It's like
And I, like you
yeah,
said, like we do put so much pressure on every little thing that
yes,
we do. And I've
yeah,
done that. Like I do that where I'm like, why didn't that get any traction? Where
yep,
something else that I probably didn't put as much, that's when it's always hard. When you
yeah,
don't put something in as much time or energy into something and that just goes skyrockets. And
yep,
then you think, okay, I'm going to really, do something. And then you just
yeah,
kind of, and I've just learned, and it's taken me a long time to learn this, where you just have to let it go and just
yeah,
keep going.
yep,
I have a friend that she always just says, progress over perfection.
mhm,
I was thinking of your client of like, just post it. Like
yep,
it's gonna, you know,
exactly.
and like you said, you're gonna be posting it and posting it again.
Over and over, especially if you're using some kind of process. Like if you're using the story blueprint, you're posting with intention. I don't ever want anyone to post just to post. That doesn't work anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
you're not just going, oh, I need a post today, let me throw this up there. You're
Right.
you're actually putting intention to it and thought behind it. So like, know that going in, like, hey, I can feel proud of this. And one other thing I'll say too is I made a post recently about this. I think it started like, stop. Can I curse on here?
Yeah.
Okay. Stop bitching about your engagement. That was like the cover title. And then
Yes.
some kind of hook, like, I'm forgetting exactly. Here, I have it. I should just read it. Your best leads aren't engaging. They're in your DMs or applying. And it was a screenshot of a client that I had come in last minute to my launch.
Mm.
She never liked anything. She never commented on anything. She just applied and DM'd me. And I had a client this past week who said, "Hey, you're gonna love this." I got 5 likes on my post. I was so pissed because I thought it was such a good post. And then I had a high ticket client DM right away from it, and we have a sales call
Wow.
scheduled. And I'm like, "Thank you." I get 10 likes sometimes on my posts. I'll get 20 likes on some posts. Sometimes I'll get 100. I don't care. I could have 1 like and 5 DMs from the right people. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I just think like engagement. We so overinflate the importance of it. If you're selling something high ticket, which I mean, photographers in general are higher ticket,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're selling a
Mm-hmm.
service that's definitely higher ticket.
Right.
Unless you're selling like a course or something that's really low ticket, you rather that. Now, if you have a really low ticket offer, then yeah, engagement is important because you need numbers for sure. So I get it.
Right.
But if you're selling high ticket, it just doesn't matter, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And you do have to remember that some people just they don't engage
I don't
on,
engage.
you don't hit like, you don't like, and I don't, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't like,
Yeah, I guess I should
it
say
just,
that same. Yeah,
kind of depend where I'm like, oh, there's something you really liked and I might watch something a couple of times because I really like it, but I never hit the heart
right.
or yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And
And
oh, sorry.
oh no. And I just, for me though, I have to
Yeah.
remember that like,
Yes.
hey, Kate, you don't do that. So not
Exactly.
everybody's going, and I now on Instagram, just for myself, I hide the like
Oh
counts
yeah. For
because, and
sure.
it's so that I don't go on my account and
And
like,
see it.
and look at
Yeah.
it because like you said, it really,
It's
unless maybe
yeah.
it's something it's something that you're targeting that you want it to be a
Yeah.
engage,
It
but
is kind of wild how much how good is the word dopamine rush? Is that
I
the
think,
word?
yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
My hormone clients would be very unimpressed with my hesitation. But like I have another account that's about twin motherhood and I've been really neglecting it. And I posted on my story for the first time in a few days there and I had over 1,000 views already.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, can I get that on my business account,
Right.
please?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and it made me feel good. I saw these
Yeah.
views, it made me feel great. I'm not selling anything over there. That's not resulting in anything financial. Like it's not going to help anything, but it just felt good. And we're just wired that way. So it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to like want that. I get it. But when you're looking at the bottom line, like what is your goal? You want to sign more clients. You want to make more money. You want to grow something that you love. And those aren't going to necessarily lead to it. And so also for the story, no, if you're sharing something vulnerable, people won't necessarily comment because they don't want other people to know that they've experienced that. They'll just DM you,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
I noticed this too. Even, there's been times where I've hired mentors I haven't liked or commented on anything, and I've just messaged them because I've had moments where I'm like, I feel like I should know this already, but I'm feeling lost. I don't want to admit that publicly right now. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
just go slide in the DMs. And I've had that a lot where people are like, I didn't want to comment on the post because I feel like a fraud now. And I feel like I'd feel like a fraud if I was commenting. And I'm like,
Sure.
been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
So just also remember too, that's a lot. If you end up having a more sensitive topic for whatever reason, that's also it. People are just nervous to publicly admit that they need help with things.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes
Hmm.
sense. So yeah, don't worry about the comments or the likes
Yeah.
or
We put way too much weight on it, I think.
we do. We do.
Mhm. For sure.
So the great resource, the blueprint,
Yes.
and I'll have that in the show notes so people
Perfect.
can, yeah, get
Awesome.
to
Yeah. It's called the
that.
business story blueprint and it just walks you through everything, the five
I love
steps.
it.
Mhm.
I love it. And then tell us how like people can like find you if they
Yeah.
want to, and we've been talking about DMing, so they can find you and
Yeah, you
DM
could
you.
totally DM me. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, DM me on Instagram at Megan Yelaney. I love, especially when I find people through podcasts. I find podcasting to be the most fun way to meet people.
Sure.
And you're already listening to a podcast. So since you're on the app, if you go to Business Not As Usual with Megan Yelaney, I have a podcast that sharing all different sorts of amazing experts and strategy. And I have a whole segment on mom life and business and all that. So a lot of fun stuff over there too.
Well, and I loved like I first heard you on a podcast.
Oh, cool.
I heard you on Cubicle to CEO.
Oh, great. Ellen. Yeah, she's the best.
Yes. And so then I was like, I really like you. Felt like, this was something. And I always am like now encouraging photographers to like, yes, listen to the photography, podcasts and get the photography education. But I have been lately, like for this last year, I'm not, I mean, I don't want to tell people not to listen when this is a photography podcast,
I
but
get it. Yeah.
also branch out into that's maybe not exactly an exact photography podcast. And that's kind of why I wanted you on because
Mhm.
I learned so much. And it was a 3-day workshop that you did. It was like finding
Yeah.
your edge,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yep. Define your edge. Yeah.
Define your edge. And, I loved that. And again, it wasn't about photography at all.
Yeah.
But it made me like look at my business or, and everything of how I'm doing things.
Mhm.
So I definitely say to go listen to your podcast
Oh,
because
thank you.
yeah, it was
Thanks.
great.
I love it. Thank you so much. And that's why I love doing collabs with people because you just never know who's going to resonate with your message and just get
Mm-hmm.
there. So I love that. I actually think it's so important for us to also be on other styles. Like I have a relationship coach couple that's my husband and my relationship coaches actually, but they also were clients of mine and they're niching down to entrepreneurs. And so I'm like, guys, stop going on relationship podcasts, go on entrepreneur podcasts because
Mm-hmm.
talk about balancing entrepreneur life and marriage and how hard it is and all that. I'm like, that's where your people are. Like the
Mm-hmm.
relationship podcasts already have a bunch of they're already giving relationship advice, so it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of another way in, if you will,
Yeah.
which is
Oh,
really cool.
yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. Now, should they go to like your website or anything like that if they want to like dive deeper with you, like to work with you at all? Or
Yeah, you can totally go to the website at meganyelaney.com. And you can inquire there, but I'm on Instagram a lot. So that's probably the best place to like reach me to.
reach you? Okay. Perfect. Yay. Well, Megan, thank you so much for taking the time today to give us all this great information. I'm like, if no one else listens to it, I'm like, I got all this great information.
I love it. No, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
And that's a wrap, my friends. Huge thank you to Megan Yelaney for showing us how your story can be your biggest marketing asset. Remember those everyday moments? They're pure gold when it comes to connecting with your audience. If you want to take it even further, check out episode 4 where we talked all about social media ads, and imagine combining what you learned there with Megan's storytelling strategies. And if you're looking for daily inspiration, definitely follow Megan on Instagram. She's amazing at showing how to weave your story into your Insta stories. Share your story, make your content resonate, and as always, shut her up and shine, friends.